Fam fam, Jess Corvo here. Happy Saturday, legit Saturday. And I just wanted to tap in to say hello and also share a funny story. Well, not a funny story, but an interesting story. So a lot of times when you're a survivor of trauma, you have an opportunity to kind of dip in and out and, work through unprocessed trauma, decide how you're going to frame something and really feel, because a lot of times you can play the trauma over and over again in your head, or you can feel it in your heart, but you definitely feel it in your body. And I mean, there's so many books that you can read. I'll drop a comment with some of my favorites, and people on like YouTube that specifically focus on trauma work. For me, a little bit more surface level working knowledge for myself and also the people that I serve, I think it's very important to just be aware of it and then know how to address it and what you need. So I don't think that there's a one-stop shop for anything. That said, this week has been very triggering for me, specifically in the US context of all the nonsense going around with the Asian stuff, the Stop Asian Hate. For me, it's been going around for a very long time. I am kind of numb to it because it's normalized. And the part that was triggering for me is because for a lot of people within my immediate circle, I told them flat out, straight up, from the beginning of pandemic until now, that I've had to move 2 different times. The people that I was living with at the start of pandemic, one of them was chasing me around the house with disinfectant. She knew that my mom is Chinese and my father's Italian, so she was straight up racist. And she was chasing me around with disinfectant even when I was cooking in the kitchen. She would go and spray the kitchen while I was still using it. And I shake my head because what am I going to do? Punch her in the face and get a court case about it? No, you don't deal with ignorance. You reframe it, you deal with what you got to deal with, and then you exit. It took me a few months, but I was able to leave that housing situation and change my situation. So to me, the point of sharing that was it was hard for me to deal with and understand through the entire process of the Black Lives Matter and through all of this stuff, US context of on how we're being manipulated, conditioned, and put in emotional states specifically to focus on specific things. And it's not allowing us to look at the big picture. It's not allowing us to look at racism rather than targeted racism. And that it took a lot out of me all week. I mean, my head's been hurting, my body feels broken, breaking out, everything has just gone lopsided, because for me, it was a very painful week, a very interesting week as well, because I actually had to let go of a lot of racist friends, whether they want to admit that they're racist or not, they are. And for me specifically, it's, if I want to play into labels, I'm Chinese, I'm female, I'm a minority, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and yet I continue to pivot, I continue to crush it, I continue to leverage all of that hate in the world in order to be productive and add value and spread love. I mean, what happened with, domestic violence? I crushed Iron Man and I turned it into a workshop. So now I help teenagers, and it's called Be Your Own Hero. So it helps them manage and identify their own situations so that they can empower themselves. With the disinfectant, racism, what did I do? I went straight up to deliver classes, and I didn't even charge for any of my classes for the first 8 weeks of pandemic. 100% of any money that I collected for the first 8 weeks of pandemic, plus some, was actually donated. And every week I changed a different beneficiary. You don't talk about it because that's just what you do. And then continuing to shift into different ways, there is a lot of aggression, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of like emotions that I was feeling. And finally this week I was like, you know what, F it, I'm done. Like, you guys are racist, I'm done. Like, you choose not to learn, you choose to be where you are, and that's okay, but that's not my flow, that's not allowed in my world. And so sharing the emotional side of things, and then sharing kind of what I've done to kind of balance my internal scales. Today I had another morning of volunteering, and we were handing out boxes of food to anybody, not necessarily needy. It could be anybody who wanted a box. And there's meat, there's vegetables, there's milk, there's don't know, yogurt. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff inside of it, some of it better than others, but it is what it is. And so it's connected with the church. So as people are collecting these boxes, some people are collecting it for themselves, some people are collecting it for people within their community, and then some people are, just getting into the line because they want someone to pray for them. So for me, the most powerful moment to kind of spot check myself and give myself perspective on the entire situation that's happening US context, with all the racism and all the other stuff that's happening that people are just finally acknowledging, because it's a socially acceptable thing to start talking about. They didn't care before it became a national topic, but now we're a hashtag. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Just, it costs zero to be a decent person, and it costs zero to listen to your friends when they're telling you that this is what happens in their world. Anyways, I digress. Clearly, I'm a little upset about it still. So volunteering and being able to balance my own scales, and having people as simple as asking for a prayer, because pandemic has been hard. People lost their job. They can't provide for their family in the same way that they were providing before. And there was this father who came in, and this father was specifically asking, he got 4 boxes, and he had asked, can you guys pray for my kids? And it's like, absolutely. Is there anything specific? And it was like, can you please pray for them to have understanding and patience and open their heart, because we've had to make a lot of sacrifices, but they're always going to be our priority. And as I'm thinking about that, I mean, I was a little bit emotional for obvious reasons, and I just start the waterworks, and you have your mask on, so you're trying to compose yourself, but I show everything in my eyes. And so I was just thinking about on how we have a national dialogue for Stop Asian Hate, which has been around for longer than people want to acknowledge. And you have the simplicity of people that are struggling within their own nuclear family, and their only ask is for tolerance, forgiveness, patience, understanding, an open heart, because parents are trying to do the best that they can for their children, and perhaps their children don't understand. And for me, it puts me in like this space of just, my heart just breaks, because on one side we're still in the pandemic and all you want to do is go hug somebody. And then on the other side, because of all the stuff that I'm going through, I'm a little bit emotionally charged, and I will accept that. And then on the other side, it's also, where do I want to focus my energy, and where do I want to be able to contribute and ninja warrior all this energy and use it constructively. So I can sit here online and I can say, list all the ways that I've been, dehumanized or objectified or, discredited or dismissed on any single level. Or I can go and use my body to physically hand groceries, to nourish bodies, and to help families, and to help communities. And whilst doing that, because I'm a physical being, that I have to work through it physically whenever I have any kind of emotional turmoil. Ironman, 6-hour bike rides, climbing walls, like rock climbing, climbing mountains. This is what I do. And so for me, it was, I needed to be around community, because I specifically needed to restore and reinstate my faith in humanity. I needed to be around open hearts. I needed to be around people that were giving. I needed to be around people that were humble. And I needed to be around people that didn't have their defense mechanisms up, because they were specifically just, I'm here to serve. And whoever our creator is, for me, I call him the big guy, is allowing us the vehicle to spread that message and to spread that love. So we could have a billion things happening in the world or US context, and we get to choose on how we're going to internalize this. We get to choose what we're going to do with this energy. At the end of the day, I have anger, I have pain, I have whatever, but it's all energy. So how am I going to use that? How am I going to package that up and then transcend it, or just use it? And I think the message for today is, number one, the topics that are being national hashtags right now, it's upsetting. It's very upsetting. It's upsetting because the people that didn't want to acknowledge it when people were sharing it are now only acknowledging it because it's a nationally accepted topic to talk about. And if you don't talk about it, you're basically racist. On the other side, how do you think your friends are feeling that have been trying to tell you about this for over a year, maybe more? And you chose to not listen. You chose to, now that it's a national topic, to turn that into a hashtag. Just think about that. And then on the other side, for anyone who's hurting, I'm with you. For anyone that needs a community, I'm here. For anybody who needs a coach specifically to teach you how to take all that energy and make it constructive rather than destructive, I'm here. Drop a comment. Let me know. Any of my Asian brothers and sisters, any of my non-Asian brothers and sisters, I don't really care. Anybody who wants to join the conversation, let me know, how have you been navigating the last week? What have you been doing? And how are you feeling? For me, I've had a volcano of emotions on a daily basis. And today I finally let all of that erupt, and it erupted in terms of crying for my fellow Americans that just simply wanted a little bit more compassion for their children. And that's what it is. It's just asking for a little bit more love. So I hope that you guys have a really good day. A little bit heavy, but still very meaningful, because that's what you do. You gotta have a little bit of fire and ice running through your veins if you want to get some real change. So I hope you guys are having a good weekend and a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.